And, well, you saw the title. 10 years! Wow. So, a couple things to note before I get in. Yes, it's lower lighting, but I kind of want this to be more of a relaxed video. I don't know why. That kind of seems to work. Second of all, I'm filming this at night because when I can get the opportunity to film it. Secondly, well, I may change outfit. I'm currently wearing a Rick and Morty jumper, but I'm filming this over a course of a few days, but a part of me would really like to get it filmed all in one go. This is the 10th anniversary special. Also, I want to know what you guys thought of that intro. I thought that was fairly decent. But, got a few points I'd like to cover. It is kind of set up like the channel updates that we do monthly, that we didn't do in April, which is actually when this is being filmed. But, you know, that's what's happening. Yeah, so, hello and welcome. I'd like to thank everyone who's watched me over the last 10 years to start with. If you've been watching, this is your first video, then welcome. If you've been watching me for 6 months, a year, 5 years, and if you're one of the very few people that have been watching me over 10 years, then thank you very much. You know, that is really, really appreciated. And, you know, another reason this may stop clips and stuff is this will be one of my first fully edited videos, you know, with words coming up across the screen, which would be kind of cool. Now, I'm not the biggest editor. You'll know if you watch my channel regularly. I kind of just show the product. That's all I really feel like doing. But, you know, this YouTube channel, it's not my likelihood. I do things like, you know, I am a part-time student at university. I'm also someone who works quite a lot, so there is that aspect to it. But, you know, thank you very much. You know, we're going to be going through this, you know, the errors, like, you know, the history of the channel, and you have to kind of go back before the creation of the channel to kind of get that fully. So, there is that. But how did the YouTube channel begin? Or really, how did it all begin? So there's two ways you can tell this story. You can go back to 2015 and go up till now with just the YouTube channel, and you kind of get some context from that. But there's the alternative way that you could do it. We can start in the year 2008. And, well, that's kind of how it began. That's when I first got into Lego. And despite the fact that everything you see behind me, almost everything is Lego Star Wars, that's not the theme that I started on. I actually started on... So the earliest Lego sets I can remember, this is 2008. And when I was a kid, in the back, I don't know if this is still a thing that you can do. Or a thing that exists. But back when I was a kid, in the Sun newspapers, you get these little clips that say, trade this in for a free Lego model. And there's things like little kind of Lego go-karts, little Lego brick-built animals. And like one I can remember definitely was a dinosaur, and one of them was definitely like a go-kart with little... I think it was either like a Coast Guard or like... No, it would have been a Coast Guard. Lego Octan didn't exist yet. But that's what I remember. And in around 2009 or 10, I actually saw Star Wars for the first time. And so most people watching this will have seen it either through Disney Plus, Blu-ray or DVD, or if you're as old as me, VHS. And these are something I picked up, you know, back in August. This is a kind of cool shelf item. But, you know, these are pretty cool. And that's some cool art in them. You've got Star Wars A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back. Now, The Empire Strikes Back definitely has one of my favourite arts on it in general. I think that looks pretty good. And on Return of the Jedi, I mean, that looks pretty good. And those are the widescreen, and those are copies specifically, by the way, if anyone's wondering, are the 1994 edition. So that's before any of the Star Wars special editions. If you're wondering what I mean, the ones you'll watch on Disney Plus are most likely the 2004 onward versions, which means Jabba the Hutt's been edited into A New Hope. Some of the sound effects have been polished. The Ewoks have a different ending song in Return of the Jedi. Darth Vader's eyebrows are taken out. Anakin's Force Ghost is switched from Sebastian Shaw, who is the face of Darth Vader in that movie, to Hayden Christensen for like continuity. Boba Fett's voice is swapped out from Jeremy Bulloch to Tamara Morrison. Just things like that. So that's how I first experienced Star Wars. And my first Star Wars set that I can remember getting, and these are like these are definitely the 2008 ones. It was either the Rebel Battle Pack or the Imperial one. I know because I had both. And there's a little drop ship one, there's a little speeder. It's that one that actually got the remake with QTKT last year in 2024. And that's kind of how that began. And, a lot of the sets I had back in that era are, you have to remember, Lego was different back then. The two main themes was main Lego themes were Lego City, Lego Star Wars, Lego Technic. Bionicle was still around at this point. I think Harry Potter had been put in hiatus as well. You had Lego Power Miners started in this era as well. Lego Indiana Jones was around. Those were kind of the themes. Lego Castle, and those are pretty good. I have a lot of fond memories of most of those themes. And at the time of recording this, I'm actually working on buying back some sets from those themes. And a lot of the sets that I have the most nostalgia came out between 2008 and 2013. And I'm going to briefly show you some of those sets. I remember getting this one for Christmas in 2011, and I think I pointed this out. None of this is my original collection from as a kid. These have all been repurchased. I bought this in November last year, but this one was pretty cool. I do remember getting this one. And, the T6 is one of those amazing ships. We did get the Ahsoka's remake a couple of years back, but I just don't think it's as good. A lot of people aren't a fan of this one, but I am. This is the 2012 X-Wing, which I think had the coolest X-Wing feature. Turn it once, and they open. And yes, that is still in the rubber band kind of era of Lego. But I got this one in January 2012 with some money I got for Christmas 2011. This and the TIE Fighter are some pretty cool sets, which I do have the TIE Fighter down there, actually. And, this one had Jet Porkins in it. This is a cool set. Also from 2012, Lego Monster Fighters. This is a theme I've got a lot of special memories for, especially this set, which was the smallest in the lineup. It's kind of like, you had this, and, another little one I'm going to point out from this era is, and this is something I'm planning to do future videos on. If you guys remember, Lego Atlantis had the little keys that you would collect. Well, Monster Fighters, for those who aren't aware, had these little bricks that you would, collect. And each set had them, and you'd use them to, open a portal for the monsters. Another theme I've got a lot of nostalgia for that I'm actually, at the time of recording this, I've actually purchased 4 out of the 9 sets for the theme. Lego Pharaoh's Quest, solid theme from back in the day. Another one would be the Twilight from 2008. Now, I like this set just because of nostalgia, and not a popular one in the Lego community by any means. This set gets a lot of dislike and a lot of flack. But I think that this one is pretty cool. You have that wing that if you pull the lever down. I mean, this is one of those big, proper Lego Star Wars sets. We won't get ones just like this anymore. This one's unique. I think I got this one sometime around 2011. And, this set here is one of the ones that is the most important to me. At least in a couple of ways. So this is the set, I think 7965, the Millennium Falcon from 2011. Now, this was the first big play scale set that we got after the UCS one from 07. And, the Lego Millennium Falcons even now take a lot of cues from the design. In fact, this one takes cues from the 04 design. But this set means a lot to me because when I was 9 back in 2012, for my 9th birthday, I got this set. This was the biggest gift I got that year. And I sat down and built it with someone I was very close to, who unfortunately is no longer here. So this set does have that emotional meaning to it. This one's, and I like the design of this. I still think 14 years later, solid set design. I could go on, showing off more sets that are nostalgic. Those are the best ones that I remember getting. Those are some of the ones I've repurchased since. There's many sets that I do plan to repurchase from that era, like those original battle packs I talked about. And Lego Pharaoh's Quest, I've got quite a few of those coming in actually. So, by the time you're seeing this, I may have already done a whole bunch of the Pharaoh's Quest related content, or maybe I'm still saving it. I actually have no idea. But, it was a really cool time for Lego, and, I personally think that was the Lego's best era, and I'm happy that I started in on that era. Because I'll admit, the Lego sets for just now are okay, but I just think those ones are better. That's just a matter of personal opinion. And, I didn't do Lego YouTube back in the day. I didn't really watch that many YouTubers at that point. But that'll be a later point within this, because it's going to be a really long video. So, yeah. 2008 to 2013 is where it really started. Unfortunately, in 2014, I did lose my original Lego collection. Just due to things that were going on in my life at that point. And I did restart in 2015, which we'll continue on with now. So, 2015. Let me set the stage. So, I'm 12 years old. I'm starting high school. Things going on at the time. Well, The Force Awakens was coming out later that year. This is before everybody was mad at Disney. Star Wars Rebels was like, what, its second season. And I remember you could not go anywhere at the time without seeing Kylo Ren on something. This is kind of later in the year. Kylo Ren was on absolutely everything. Like, toilet paper, toothbrushes. I'm sure he was even on car wax and other stuff. Like, Kylo Ren, like that kind of, I don't have any of the boxer and to show, but he was on everything back then. I was back when Lego Star Wars had that kind of yearly thing. So, like, for example, all Star Wars products had, you know, Darth Maul in 2012, just to give a random example. It was like Yoda 2013. It was, you know, they changed it. It's not something they're all doing now with Lego. Lego have kind of abandoned that. But anyway, and I just got on a phone before starting high school, and I made my first YouTube video. And for this, if I do point this just to remind myself in editing, hey, put a picture there, or else. And it was a best Minecraft seed, Xbox One, PS4. I hate the video. I hate everything I made before 2017. But I won't delete anything I made before 20. I did private a bunch of them. But the ones I felt were kind of funny to keep a hold of, I did. And, you know, 2015, I made quite a few crap videos like Minecraft pixel art. I'm not proud of any of those. They were actually filmed with my phone on a Lego tripod. So up until 2020, I did not have an actual tripod. I was that crap of a YouTuber. This is being filmed on a tripod, right? But I didn't do that. I had a brick built one. And I honestly, like, it could swivel, it could go up and down. Like, I used Lego Technic to my advantage, and I may at some point recreate that in a YouTube video here just to show you guys what I used. But you probably could see it in some videos. But anyway, so 2015 didn't do too much. The end of 2015, for Christmas that year, I got a PS4. And, you know, that's what allowed me to make some videos, like gaming type videos. Because before that, I thought in my head, right, you need one of those Elgato game catchers or like crazy software. Modern game consoles actually have that ability, or at the time, modern ones, I suppose, that's a generation ago, Jesus, had the ability to do that. You hit share, you had like PlayStation Share, I know it's called Share Factory, well, it's a bit nostalgia, Share Factory, and you could upload them directly to YouTube and stuff like that. You know, if you got the mic, you could do the commentary, and I made so many videos like that, with that software. And that was kind of really, like, one point I was making 3 or 4 videos a day like an idiot. And they never got really any views. Like, they were not great videos. Let's just leave it at that. Like, they're not videos I'm particularly proud of, but it is kind of cool. I did watch back a few of them before making this. Moving on to 2016. 2016, I did things like the 1 point, I think it was the 1/5 scale. I don't have any of them now, I don't think. I probably do have 1 or 2, I just can't get a hold of them. They're in storage. The Diadestini 1/5 scale helmets. I did like unboxing with those. I did videos of the Lego books. I did my first review that was really bad with the set, like, parts taken off because I'm an idiot. I don't know, that year was not, I don't feel like 2016 really has that much in terms of content. Like, there was a lot of videos, but there's nothing, like, I looked through them. There's nothing that really comes to mind as cool or amazing or groundbreaking to me. It was just meh. But 2016 is when I actually started properly collecting again. Because one thing I did forget to mention, 2015 I did have to restart my Lego collection. And it was with this minifigure that I restarted what you have today. This is the 1999 Darth Vader. He was in the Cloud City, which is the set I just took him off from. He was in, you know, his TIE Fighter and Y-Wing set. This figure, the TIE collection, just name a few of the sets that guy was in. And 2016, what I bought, all the sets I got were the ones that were current at the time. So sets like Obi-Wan's Jedi Interceptor, the which is a cool set. The Droid Escape Pod was another one. Trying to think here. The Carbon Freezing Chamber, which I thought was an amazing set. Like, because as a kid, I always wanted Cloud City, which is a set I have eventually went and got. And I always thought one of the coolest scenes to me was that Carbon Freezing Chamber. I want to try to recreate that scene in Lego so many times. Because I've always one of the coolest scenes in the original trilogy. And so when Lego released a cheap set, I was like, oh, I was all over that. But that's kind of really it for 2016. A lot of Battlefront-based videos. I think I did more gaming videos than I really did Lego videos. Moving on to a year that I believe is where things started to actually go the right way, YouTube-wise. 2017, which... ouch, that was 8 years ago. I did quite a few videos that year. You know, I started doing like the Lego Clone Wars minifigure update type videos, started doing like the base videos. Like, yeah, there was video content that should have been made in 2008 and 9. It was like that type of content. But I enjoyed making it. And, you know, 2017, I had quite a few really big milestones in it. So I started to get like really serious with Lego collecting. I got a lot more sets that year. You know, I also hit 100 YouTube subscribers, which is kind of cool. It's one of those milestones. Here we are 8 years after that happened, and I'm not yet at 2,000. I'm at 1,954 at the time of filming this. And, you know, 2017, I just felt like was one of those years where I did the most. You know, I feel like my content started to get some sort of form of identity at that point. I was still using the Lego tripod. And then that was the year I actually upgraded to my first proper shelving on the YouTube channel. So before that, I was using a table. I kept some of it under the table, kept some of it in boxes, and some of it on the floor. But I got, and I don't have them anymore. I had them around for about 7 years before getting rid of them. I had the Kallax units that you get in IKEA with the squares. I remember being so proud of that. And obviously, as my collecting went on, those shelves suddenly became inadequate, and I stopped using those in... Stopped using them as Lego shelves in 2021, and I got rid of them last year, but that kind of started. Those are like the main highlights. Yeah, there's probably stuff I may have missed, but looking through my videos, those are like the highlight ones to me. 2018. So, 2018 was a good year for me, Lego-wise. It's when I did my first Clone Army video, and I was over the moon that it got 300 views, which is kind of crazy considering 2024 edition got over 10,000. You know, at the time of filming this, I've not yet made the 2025 version, so I'm very curious to see what that gets. But, you know, by the time you're watching this, you'll know. No, that was pretty cool. You know, a really cool thing I did that year was something I always wanted to do. So I remember being a kid and seeing Solid Brick Studios' Kashyyyk Mock and his Scarif box, right? When I was the Scarif Mock when I was a teenager. And those series, and I always wanted to do something along that. And in 2018, I did Building Forum. Was it good? Probably not. But, yeah. And in 2018, I actually did my final stop motion. Something I forgot to mention in the last two categories. I actually did Lego stop motion builds. I did little films that were very bad. 13 and 14-year-old me and just did not put a whole bunch of effort in. I've not done a Lego stop motion in 7 years. And, you know, I have often wondered, would it be worth bringing them back? Would I do it again? The amount of time I have in a day now, being someone as you know, I'm in university half the time, I'm in work the other half. In fact, I'm filming this one late at night because I had free time, but it's trying to find the time to film those. I don't know what I would do story-wise, because some of those, like, were decent. I think the best stop motion I made was probably my final one. And, you know, 2018... had a really big milestone for me in it. That was the year that because my living situation was a bit difficult before that, but this is when I got my own room, like, for me. And when I got that, it was like, if you guys have seen Room Tour 2018, you know, it had, you know, the red wall, the big black wall with the big Star Wars decal, and the Kallax shelving, and that was like, that room allowed me to make a lot more content than I had previously. It allowed me to make some of my favourite bits of content, like the mocks, like my, you know, I would do the collection videos, but I was able to do them really well, like have all the sets out on the carpet. That was a lot of fun. And, you know, that kind of closed out 2018 quite well. And, you know, moving into 2019. 2019 was the year I remember hitting 400 subscribers that year specifically. Because I remember we did a mock for it. And it was the Mustafar. And it was like a snot technique mock. I'll try and get a picture of it. Probably a YouTube screenshot up there. And it was the mock that I made for that. And I was so proud of it. And it's one of those ones I used the retro 2005 Anakin and Obi-Wan that I'd probably recently got off eBay at that time. And, you know, it's one of those ones I wish I'd kept built. And honestly, when I'm looking back at it, I'm like, this is kind of like Lego dioramas before Lego dioramas. Like, that's the best way I would describe it. But I was over the moon with that mock. Like, 2019 was just a good year for me on that way. You know, I got my second Kallax shelf and started to kind of finally refine what I want to do with my shelving. And it looked so good at the time. honestly, that that was probably the last year I did kind of weirder videos that didn't really fit my channel. I think that's probably when I finally stopped doing stuff that didn't fit. Like, I did a bunch of videos of GTA Online, like 2 of them. I even did a manga anime review for Death Note, like. But I think that was the year where I finally stopped like trying other random niches to see what else I could do. And I finally settled on Lego, and it took probably 4 years of doing YouTube to get to a point where I was okay to do that. And, you know, I think it worked out quite well. And, you know, the first 4 years of YouTube weren't, you know, they were a mixed bag. I didn't quite have an idea yet of what I was doing or what I wanted to do. Excuse me. I know I wanted to do Lego, right? That was the bare minimum. I thought, right, Lego is exactly what I wanted to do. I enjoyed doing it. The first, again, those years are a bit dodgy, but some of my favourite content, like 2019, had some good mocks in it. And it's probably a shame that after 2020, I kind of stopped doing mocks in general. But, you know, we'll get into that in the next segment about the film, where we cover 2020 to 2025. Right, so 2020 to 2025, the era that I like to say was my best so far. And, you know, maybe in 10 years, in 2035, when I say, if I'm still doing this, and I say, which I probably will be, and say 20th anniversary of this channel, I'll probably say that era was better. But 2020, obviously, that whole nasty lockdown business. 2020 is where I started to put a bit more, like, I brought back the Clone Army that year, because I didn't do one in May. And, you know, 2020 was like the last hurrah for mocks on the channel. So we had my final building series. Oh my god. And see the famous last words that I said in this. So when I was doing building Christopsis, which was a lot of fun, I had a bigger space, I had the base plates, and it was the first time I ever bought a set for a project, which would be the 2009 AAT behind me, because I was wearing Christopsis. You know, I had the 2 big towers with the bridge, with the kind of netting, the ARF troopers hanging down, the bomb squad troopers are in the building and they're being blown out with the fire. Honestly, this is one of those things I'm really proud of. I would go check that out. I'll try and get some pictures of it up here, like different screenshots from the actual video. I'm giving myself notes here to do in post, but no, it was, honestly, that was my favourite thing I did during the lockdown, and bringing back the Clone Army, because that, up until 2020, see, Clone Troopers, probably after 2015, Clone Troopers were kind of hard to build in mass because they were never being put in sets anymore. And, you know, I wanted to build the retro Clone Trooper army. I wasn't really interested in the modern ones. But the 501st Battle Pack, which ironically was revealed on April 1st, so but I remember people were going, oh crap, is this a really good April Fools by Lego? Until they confirmed it. Yeah, I'm going to play my hair randomly. And when that came out, that was something else. And, you know, that changed the game. That's what got me building clone armies again. Because, you know, clone building's fun. And, you know, I'm someone who, my goal this year, and at the time of filming this, I'm almost there, 500 clone troopers for the big 2025 army. That helped change it. You know, in 2020 as well, I started doing set reviews, but they ended up being a bit more refined. And in 2020, I hit 500 subscribers on YouTube. I did my big I think that was the time I did my proper face reveal, because after 2020 I started filming a series called You Asked It, which was introduced, I think that was introduced then. Yeah. And it was my question series that I have not done for 4 years. It was terrible. I was either reading it off a notebook like this, or when I got my PC I was reading it that way. I suppose when I was doing it now, I'd kind of read off the laptop and kind of, you know, maybe I'll figure out how to post like comments on there. I don't know, I'm still getting used to the whole editing thing. That's something I'm not 100% familiar with. And, you know, admittedly, as the time went on, yes, I've never really done editing. In fact, my thumbnails are probably the most editing I ever did in any video. But, you know, when I'm showing off a Lego set, you know, pick up the box again, I feel like the Lego set kind of speaks for itself. But, you know, maybe with this video, that's kind of what gives me the nudge to start doing it a bit more. But, you know, 2020 was a really good year for the YouTube channel. 500 subscribers. And, you know, here we are getting close to 2,000. And I remember getting 500 and, like, the fact that I was able to achieve that, I was like, well, I could achieve 1,000. And, you know, it'd be interesting to see where we are in 10 years. But 2020 was good. So, 2021. In fact, no, we missed something for 2020, but we'll go back over that in the next category. You understand why I'm on 2021. So I changed rooms in the house I was staying in, and I went into that small one. I feel like the smaller room is a bit more iconic on my channel in a way that more people would recognize that one, like the black bookcase and stuff like that. And that room is where I filmed some of my best videos. You know, my Clone Army videos that got, like, my 10,000 view Clone Army video got filmed there. But 2021, so I was 18. I just finished high school that year in the June, and in August started college. In November, I actually got a job working as a retailer, which I'm still doing. And, you know, I was able to then start affording sets. I was able to actually start doing them. And I'll show you with my first paycheck from that job, I'll show you what I bought. So as a kid, the most nostalgic year for me with LEGO Star Wars, and kind of LEGO in general, was 2012. I was 9. Some of my favourite sets came out that year. And some of the ones that I still think are the best versions of those sets. And with my first, like, bit of adult money at the age of 18, I bought this. Now, I have added extra figures to it and stuff like that. But this is the 2012, I'm going to move him forward there, 2012 Jabba's Palace 9516. You know, I remember seeing this set originally in the Argos catalogue back in the day. This set holds a lot of nostalgia and just has a lot of dust on it. But this set is just important for those reasons. I always thought this seems iconic, and LEGO did do it a few months after I bought it in the Boba's Fett's Palace. That was a big letdown. I mean, yeah, I get controversial, but this is one of those iconic, brilliant LEGO Star Wars sets, and I can't believe this is 13 years old this year. And, you know, at the time, that was the coolest thing to me, being able to buy that. And yeah, that was in 2021. In 2022 is where it really started, like, to properly kick off. And, you know, I bought sets like the Home 1 that year. I'm looking at my shelf trying to remember which ones I'm trying to. I bought things like the Home 1, the ATTE, the Gungan Sub, like the Droid Escape Pod, the 2012 one. Just to name some of the sets I bought that year. Like, I got the Lego Mystery Machine. It's another non-Star Wars theme I'm into. 2022 was a really, really good year. That's when the year I got, like, to 850 subscribers that year. You know, I had a lot of fun that year. You know, I even had a friend who briefly started a YouTube channel, which ended up deleting, unfortunately. No, 2022 is I started to really interact with other people in the LEGO space. That was a brilliant year, and, you know, yeah, it took 7 years for my channel to get there, but that was still a lot of fun to do. I enjoyed that. There's not too much else highlight-wise for 2022. I did a video, and it's one of my favourite videos. And it's like everything I bought just in the summer. And it was like the first year where I went absolutely nuts with LEGO. That year I also got, and I did end up selling it in 2024, one of my dream LEGO sets for the longest time was 101 88, you know, the big Playscale Death Star, the 08 one. And it was a cool set. I did keep the figures from it. It was a cool set, but I found the hard way that one has an issue with dust. And it's not the most displayable. When I knew I was going to be moving, I kind of got rid of the set just to save myself the aggravation. Because I knew that'd be a hard one to pack and move, and it wouldn't really fit in here. But that was kind of... And 2022 was the start of something cool, because, you know, I did my first Comic-Con video. So I've got my friend Terror Killer T1. We've been friends for about 8 years, and 8 years now. And at the time, we decided, you know what, we're going to go to a Comic-Con here in my hometown, because I'm from Edinburgh. And we did that, and it was a lot of fun. We went Comic-Con, filmed at the Lego Hall of Comic-Con, and I found... The first Comic-Con, I got things like the Lego Planet Series Death Star, is the main thing I remember coming out with and being very pleased. In fact, I ended up buying the Malevolence with the leftover money, because I didn't spend a lot of money at the Comic-Con. 2023. So 2023 was another year where it kicked off. I actually started working night shifts to be able to earn a lot more money. And at that point, I was kind of... 2023 is a year is when I also went to my final year of college. And, you know, 2023 was good. We got the Republic gunship from 2008. My Clone Army went over 100 clones for the first time that year. I was able to go out and get the Rancor pit to complete the Jabba's Palace. I went and bought... 2023 is also the year I got my craziest LEGO set. The original Cloud City from 03 up there. Because I accidentally got the Boba Fett in a lot. I've made a... So I'll make a video talking about how that happened. I've been asked to do that a couple times. But 2023, I hit 1,000 subscribers, which is a big deal. It was also the year for the first time I actually did an entire LEGO wave. Which was kind of cool. You know, I've never actually done that before or since, and I bought the full wave and did a wave review, which is kind of those videos I'm kind of proud of. And, you know, 22 and 23 are also the years I did advent calendar openings, which I've done. I do it with retro ones. I don't buy the current ones. They don't really interest me, but that was kind of really it for 2023. I can't really think of anything else. In fact, no. The elephant in the room. 2023 was the year I started doing the Collecting Olive series, which I tried doing collecting all the Indiana Jones figures. I never actually completed that. I will have to bring that back. But I successfully collected every LEGO Clone Trooper. That ended in late 2024. And that was kind of cool. First time I thought, we'll do a series of me collecting things. And I thought it was amazing. And to this day, we're still doing it with. And at the time of recording this, I'm still doing a series right now. And that's called, and it's one of my best, this is done amazingly well on the channel. This is collecting every Clone Wars minifigure. And you know, this is a really cool project. Yeah, you can see the back of the stand's colourful. But when I got into LEGO and into LEGO Star Wars, the Clone Wars figures were what was out at that time. So this is like a time capsule for a lot of these figures. Obviously not the modern ones, but all the retro ones are, you know, what was new when I got into LEGO Star Wars. And it's kind of weird to look at those as being retro, like, especially for me. And you know, that's an idea that's still going. I've had many series ideas over the years, like Figure Friday got abandoned about 2 years ago probably, and that was where every week I showed it. I started in 2017 actually, and I kind of showed off a new figure every week, but there was that. 2023 was just definitely a year where I hyped up. I got my first big UCS set that year, the Ultimate Collector Series B-Wing from 2012. Like, I enjoyed that year for, like, I got into custom Clone Troopers that year. I don't make them, but I do have a case, so I'm not going to bring it down. It will have its own video, if not by the time this is up, but in the future of custom Clone Troopers. You know, 2023 was just a really good year. I started getting into the non-Star Wars sets a little bit more that year. You know, like with the Lego Scooby-Doo and the Speed Champions. That was just a really good year. But 2024, moving on. 2024 was when, you know, I moved into this new room. I moved back to the city. 2024 was, you know, a big 10K video for the Clone Army, which was pretty cool, you know, just to see that, yeah, my Clone Army is nowhere near the size, like crazy size of some people's, but it still got to that, and I was thoroughly impressed with that. Like, I could not have been happier. And, you know, we got to do a really fun series of, you know, moving my whole collection. That was one of my favourite videos that I've ever made. Like, I thought it was absolutely brilliant. And, you know, I feel like I accomplished a lot in the year 2024. You know, I started university and stuff, which, yeah, 2024 was a brilliant year for the YouTube channel as well. Like, we had probably the best amount of uploads that year. Like, I feel like that was when I was most consistent. And I feel like 2024 was the year I kind of started to little bit diversify my content bit by bit, which was great, you know, into different LEGO themes. And, well, that kind of brings us really to the present, 2025. You know, what's going on in 2025? Well, here we are at this time of filming in April. You know, we're prepping for the Clone Army. We're collecting all the Clone Wars figures. And I've been getting right into the complete saga kind of custom figures you can buy off Instagram. And as I mentioned before, I've been buying far too much of the theme Pharaoh's Quest. But, you know, really, what is next? Well, I'm hoping to get to 2,000 subscribers possibly. Listen, if I'm really lucky, 2,500 by the end of the year, but that might not be the most realistic. No, this, I'm hoping the Clone Army video, you guys will be seeing it by now, but this is obviously April me's thoughts. Hopefully it does as well. But no, 2025, hopefully it can be as big a year as other ones been. When the last year got over 100,000 views on videos, which for the size of my channel, I'm happy. So, there's two more categories, and these are kind of spin-off categories that we're about to jump onto. So, Captain Rex Productions Extra, 2020 to 2025. So, on the 30th of June, during the lockdown, boring, couldn't go out anywhere, I started a second YouTube channel called Captain Rex Productions Extra. And it was for content that I felt was good, but wasn't worthy of coming on to here. And, you know, I went on a 2-year hiatus, recently actually came back to that channel. And, you know, it's got 220 subscribers. I never really promoted it. I never done nothing with it. But, you know, for something I really just mucked around with and kind of goes, like, for instance, one of the more recent videos at the time of filming is the introduction. I actually uploaded it to there. Like, you know, the music and the Captain Rex Productions presents, all that kind of stuff got posted there. Is it just random rambling content? Yes. But it seems to do decently okay. There's not too much to talk about. You know, at one point I was uploading from random clips from my TikTok page onto there just because it worked. You know, it was a kind of a little place to post those, talk about other random projects, that kind of thing. And the next, there's like I said, there's not a whole bunch to talk about. That channel has like kind of a very uneventful life from 2020. It's really just this kind of content, but a bit different. TikTok. So I resisted the urge to use TikTok for about 2 years because I thought it was a bit of a dumb platform. And in 2021, a friend of mine went, just post a video, your collection on there with your name and stuff from here. And that video got over 3,000 views. And me in 2020 was amazed at that. And so I continued to upload to it. And I was very sporadic with it, never really bothering. Half the time would go 6 months without posting a clip. I've got over 5,000 followers on there now. And with that, you know, as of July, as I'm moving in here in July, of last year, I've been doing live building streams, you know, building sets. I mean, we've built like the Freako Speeder on there, the HH87 Starhopper, we've built the Imperial Inspection, the Geonosis Cannon behind me, which you can't see, Grievous the Starfighter, just name a few. We've built a whole bunch of Ninjago sets on there as well. Like, that's been fun. And a lot of you guys have actually come from there. A lot of people who watch these have went there to get that kind of content, which is kind of fun. So the next category we're going to talk about is, well, we are going to talk about my YouTube inspirations, and there's a few. So moving on to things, you know, like people who inspired me to do YouTube, YouTubers that kind of made me want to take it up and do it. And you know, there's quite a few of them. YouTube was very different back when I started watching Lego YouTubers. Like, most of it was just like stop motions. It was the good old kind of stop motions. Yeah, today, you know, things are like all eight with the full like HD kind of like professional setups. But back then, like, the stop motions were very different. You know, things like, if you look up the YouTube channel, pizza movies, stuff like that. It was like people like the comb bases. It was all like the couple like the trellis looking bricks and stuff like that was how it was done back then. And it was always mostly reviews on whatever sets were current, you know. And I remember it was always, nowadays it's like people get sent Lego by LAN, like if you're in that program. Like the Lego sets a little bit early, or people find them early now. But back then it was like some of these YouTubers would literally try and race to try and get reviews of sets out first. And well, some of the YouTubers, right, that I watched in that era, people like Solid Brick Studios, people like Night Shroud 999, you know, M&R Productions back then. That was kind of like, his content's a lot better now. That's kind of back in the really early days of his content. And you know, he's one of the bigger voices in the Lego community now. Like, one of the ones I really remember watching, it's in 2011, and it's Michael MGF's, and it's one of his bases, and it's got like those new Mandalorian Death Watch warriors that were brand new back, you know, that year in the battle pack in a base, and I thought it was one of the coolest videos I'd ever seen. Stuff like that. And then you get into, what was it, Chris Productions used to make some pretty cool clone bases. Just that era of Lego YouTube. You know, things like the Kashyyyk mock were pretty cool, you know, all that sort of thing. And you know, that's one of the most iconic Lego series. Kind of, I don't know if he did, right? I don't know for some, but I'm pretty sure David Hall or Solid Brick Studios kind of started the whole thing with, you know, the weekly segment building things on YouTube. Because I can't think of anyone that done it before him. Another one that can, at least in the way of reviews, and his channel went away for a number of years, and a couple of years ago came back. It kind of goes and comes whenever it feels like, really. But Lego Man 7777, and he used to review entire waves back in the day. This is going back to like 2008 onwards, and this is back when people didn't really do the full waves on YouTube. Like, people do a few sets from a wave. It's like not too many people were doing it really at that point. And a lot of those kind of videos by those people, like, they're all still for the most part, they are, a few of them at least, are still going strong making YouTube videos. And there's quite a few other YouTubers that watched that kind of gave me inspiration. One guy is now called Samsung Pro. He used to be called Apple Pro. And his videos are like, you know, like Lego Star Wars, like collection type videos. And even that, I found kind of inspiring. And now we're going to talk about how things have changed in 10 years. Well, first of all, we don't use Lego built tripods. I've now, and I think since 2017 or 18, I've kind of got an upload schedule. Now, I don't follow it completely. It's every Tuesday, you're guaranteed a video. It used to be every Tuesday and Friday, but, you know, as I got older, started doing college, university, that became a bit, and started working, of course, that became a bit of an unreasonable standard to try and hold myself to. Other things that have changed, just the way I want to make the YouTube videos has changed. Like, I've went from doing them in a really messy way to a bit more professional. Well, I wouldn't say completely professional, but more professional than what it was at the time when I started. You know, how I made my videos and how it changed. That's the big thing. Like you said, I still do it on my phone. I've never bothered to buy a camera. I don't know if I'll ever buy one of those professional cameras with the whole light. I mean, look, there's a lamp there and there's a lamp there. Because I wanted to have this video to like I could have the big lights on, but I wanted the video to have a relaxed kind of mood, and I'm happy that I went for that over anything else. And you know, it's like this video. I know it says in the introduction, first video to be edited. That's a bit daft, but I'm starting to slowly get into stuff like that. You know, I started gathering information. Like my first set reviews is, here's the set, here's what it does, here's your figure, done. But I've started to actually gather reviews and stuff, you know, talk about past versions of sets, all that kind of thing, you know, the inner workings of Lego sets. You know, my collecting's changed as well in a few ways. So, yeah, my collecting has changed in a way. You know, it used to be, I just wanted, I would retro at the time just buy whatever I could afford, right? You know, I was a teenager. And in that way, it's just like, I now have went back and bought a lot of my childhood sets, which has been a lot of fun for me to try and get, you know, get those back. Excuse me. Taking a bit of gas in there. Or burping, whatever. And another thing is, like, obviously, I've started to expand to other themes. You know, I've got some Pharaoh's Quest up there. I've got a Marvel set. I've got right into custom minifigures. At one point, I was doing quite a few videos on those. I kind of want to bring those back at some point. Be handy for when I've not got any sets that I need to review, but that is something I'd like to eventually have everything in the room reviewed. And you know, at one point I did, and I think that was back in 2018 was the last time I had my entire collection kind of reviewed, or at least well done. But a lot of those videos I'm not proud of, and I'm probably going to end up remaking at some point. I don't know. Like, I've got the Lego Icons DeLorean, I've got Ninjago, the earlier Pharaoh's Quest, Batman, Speed Champion, Scooby-Doo, Cars. Like, I used to only buy Star Wars sets, but as my income's changed and stuff like that, and as I've got back into more nostalgic things, like, that's kind of what there's that fun part to it as well. Things I would have done differently. Well, I wish that, you know, instead of focusing on the money on the Lego earlier, I would have bought a tripod and stuff like that, but that's not stuff I thought to do back then. I was like, you know what, I got this brick built one, I'm happy with it. Because back when I started doing it, I didn't think I would do it for so long. I thought I'd get bored. I thought, you know, I'd have done something stupid and the channel would have been deleted, or I'd have forgot my account login information, you know, something along those lines, and I just didn't. And yeah, that's kind of really just it. Like, I wish I'd done that differently. I mean, as much as I hate and would have occasional about, am I going to delete my early videos? I've left them up because it's kind of a time capsule of this channel. Because you know, regrettably, I did delete a lot of the early ones, which was a kind of a stupid move on my part. Like, there's one time I built a Death Star out of random bricks, and it's like 10 years ago. I wish that I had kept that video. Like, it's kind of daft. You know, highlights in my YouTube journey. So, one would be hitting 100 subscribers back in the summer of 2017. That for me was like one of the high moments. Like making my very first stop motion video in 2016. The building Florum in 2018. And the fact that I said in its follow-up in 2020, I'm not going to wait 2 years to do a building series. That was 5 years ago. And I've still not done one. I'm no longer in a position where I can do one, I suppose. You know, another one would be when we hit 500 subscribers in 2020. That was a big one for me, because when I hit 100, I was like, oh my god, it'd be kind of cool if I got to 200. But when I hit 500, it made me go, oh my god, 1,000 could be a possibility. I could do that. And other highlights, you know, it would be my Clone Army video. Historically, my most viewed videos have always been the Clone Army videos. Those are the ones I've always done the absolute best. And, you know, last year's got 10,000 views. Now, at the time of filming, I've not even filmed it or laid it. In fact, I'm actually going to order another base plate to contain it and make it look decent in the setup. But I'm hoping it gets more than 10,000 views. It probably will. So at the time of filming this, and you know, I don't know, but when this goes up on the 4th of June, you guys will know. You know, just talking to people in the Lego community, like, that was the fun part. You know, that's people I still talk to, and it's other Lego content creators and Lego fans. That was definitely a highlight. You know, one of my highlights would be, you know, hitting 1,000 subscribers in late 2023. That was one of those big moments. Yes, my channel had been going for 8 years by the time I got round to that goal, but it was still pretty cool. Favorite videos that I've made over the years, there's many that I've enjoyed making. Building Christopsis, building Florum, the Comic-Con videos are some of my favorite. So every year, and we should be doing it this year, me and a friend of mine who's also on YouTube, Terrakiller T1, we have always went to Comic-Con, and we've been doing it since 2020. We're doing it for about 3 years now, and we film a video, and it's always called Lego Hunting or Collectible Hunting at Comic-Con. Those are some of my favourite videos to make, because, you know, we're always confined into the room, right, with this kind of channel. And with a Lego channel, unless you do like a vlog element to it, or something like that, you kind of are just stuck there, and that's just kind of, you know, there's not too much places you can take the content. And I don't think there's been many videos where I have went somewhere else. There's like, maybe, you can probably count them all in one hand. And that's why there's some of my favourite videos, like my Clone Army videos, my collection videos, which is a shame, because at the time I filmed this, I am no longer in a position where I can have my full collection out on the floor, because my collection's growing too big. I mean, well, I'm looking around the room, that's definitely no longer a possibility for me to achieve that, which is unfortunate. Those are some of my favourite videos to do, like the mock videos. Like, see when I started doing the snot technique with the bricks going sideways, that was some of my favourite videos. Like, some of my favourite ones were reviewing sets that I always wanted but could never get, and when I did get them. So, reviewing sets like the UCS B-Wing, Jabba's Palace, the Rancor Pit, the Malevolence, the one set I'm looking forward to reviewing, it will probably end up being one of my favourite videos I've ever made, will be that 2011 Falcon. Just stuff like that. So like the ones where the sets that actually mean kind of something to me, like whole videos are always fun. Just, I have a lot of favourite videos that I've made, but if I was to pick one that I'm the proudest I've made, it's gonna be Clone Army 2024. That's the one I'm most proud of. That's one of the ones that has the most production value in it, that I feel like I put the most effort into. That's definitely one of them. Yeah, that's just one of those things. So our next topic is frequently asked questions. So one I get is, how old am I? As of 2025, I am 22. Another one is, what is the first minifigure that you got as part of this collection? Well, as shown earlier, 1999 Darth Vader. People will often, so I'm going to quickly fire through some of the questions that I get asked frequently, and whether I'm holding an item or just saying it, it's kind of like rapid fire. So, what is my favourite Lego Star Wars set? The Millennium Falcon from 2011. Classic set, memories. Yeah, this is one of those sets that is 100% like one of my favourites. Probably the favourite. My favourite non-Star Wars set. The Mystery Machine from 2015, because, well, I was a big Scooby-Doo fan growing up. My favourite minifigure, surprisingly, it's not Captain Rex. It's actually Darth Malgus from 2012, because, well, it's 2012 and he's Darth Malgus. Why not? What is my most expensive set? That would be this. And we all know in the Lego community what this is. This is the 2003 Lego Star Wars Cloud City 10123. And to follow up, the next question I usually get is, what is your most expensive figure? Well, it's right there with Cloud City Boba Fett, and we got the Gold Chrome C-3PO. So there, that answers two questions with one stone, or two birds with one stone. What set has been in your collection the longest? The 2008, the Twilight. I've had this set since Christmas 2016, and this is one of the first class sets from my childhood that I actually got back. What is my most recent set? 1 second. At the timing of filming this, on the 18th of April, it is this. It will have changed by the time this video goes out. This is the 2009 Count Dooku's Solar Sailor, and This is a brilliant set for what it is. I absolutely love this one. It has a speeder that pops out the back, and the size of this. It's got the landing gear and everything. Brilliant set. Highly recommended. Do I own any Star Wars kind of movie stuff or props? Actually, yes, I do. I have. It's not really a prop, but it's a pretty cool item. This is a Hasbro talking Clone Trooper helmet from 2008. It is. I don't know if we could call that Clone. I'm looking at debating if we would call it a Clone Wars-esque design or a movie design. Probably more Clone Wars. But this talks and this still works after 17 years. Listen.
Cover me! All units, fire at will! We've got you outnumbered! Green light! Go! 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 All forward positions are advancing. Come on, hurry! Hurry! Get ready to turn those clankers into scrap metal!
I do also have a dark saber, but I am struggling to put my hands on that at the moment. But yeah, I don't go too much on like the movie kind of prop stuff like that, or kind of replica type stuff. It's honestly I would love to get into the giant helmets. I think it's Hasbro that makes them, but oh my god, see the amount of space that those things take up. That is, I know this takes up space, but that's just even more unreasonable. Am I on other platforms? Yes, I'm available on TikTok. We have a Discord. There's an Instagram. And we also have that second channel I mentioned earlier. Another question I get quite frequently is, am I on any game consoles? Yes, I'm on Xbox. That's CAP Rex 2003. I might just put it in the description. I mostly just end up playing GTA with friends. That's pretty much all that, and some Minecraft. That's kind of really just the kind of questions we get frequently. You know, that's just, I don't really do Q&As anymore. As you know, I may have had that series You Asked It. Well, I did have that series You Asked It. And that's kind of been cancelled for about 4 years. It was every week I was answering questions, almost the same questions. It became kind of pointless. But, you know, where do I see the channel in 10 years? So that by that point, that's 2030. Oh my god, that's 10 years. Wow. I'd like by the 20-year mark to be between 5 and 10,000 subscribers, but I think since I started off with a rough kind of first 5 years, let's say the first 2 or 3 years are a bit rough on the channel before I kind of figured it out, but my content's better now, it's a bit more better produced now. I think we could get there. A bit more because upwards. One thing I want to do that I've never really done, at least at the time of filming this, I've never actually done a YouTube live stream. I've live streamed on platforms like TikTok and Instagram quite a few times, but I've never actually done it here, apart from once in 2017 where I did a thing called Test Live, which lasted 5 minutes. I said nothing, and all you saw was a Lego Clone Trooper with a background. So there was that. My dream video, that's a good one. What would my dream video be? So I've always wanted to do a building series. Now, yes, I'd done one in 2018. Yes, I done one in 2020, but both of those were only the parts out of my collection, so there was limitations and stuff. I'd like to do one on now those were very on budget because I spent no money on them. The only thing that ever I did spend money on building form, it was limited. I'd like to do one, because obviously now I'm earning money, it'd be kind of interesting to, do the whole buy parts of Bricklink, do the whole prototyping thing again. And with my current space, that's not going to be an option. But I don't see myself doing one of those until probably another 10 years. It's just one of those kind of things. I've got quite a few kind of dream videos. One of my dreams is to be able to do a collection video again and have like a big setup. That would be kind of cool to do. But again, it's a big space element. Like, there's limitations to some of the videos I'd like to do. But I do a lot of videos I enjoy and I have a lot of fun doing it. But no, there's a few things I wouldn't mind doing. Like some of them are sets. Like I'd really like to review Cloud City, but because I've pieced mine together, I still need to get the Han Solo, and I don't have an instruction manual, so that's kind of what puts me off. I don't know about you, or you guys watching, but I don't review sets if I don't have all the things for them, and that kind of includes instructions. I can go out of the box, but that's really just about it. But yeah, I thought so that's really just it. I thought a documentary kind of style type video would be, or kind of going through the history of the account, would be kind of what you'd want to do for 10 years. We could have done a special set, or something, I don't know. I may, in a week from this going up, do a live stream if I still feel like doing that idea in a couple of months when this comes out. But 10 years is kind of nuts. I feel old. which is probably why I inserted the old man yelling at Cloud meme already in this. But thank you very much for 10 years of watching this YouTube channel, and here's to another 10 years of watching it for some people. I know some of you guys have been around since 2015. But yeah, that's not so. I'd like to thank a lot of people who've been watching, or just everybody who's been watching these last 10 years. It's been greatly appreciated. Every like, subscribing, comment, view, every single one of those has made this video happen, because otherwise, if we didn't do any of that, I wouldn't have done this video. But yeah, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Thank you very much for 10 years.